Steve Sanson and Jim Jonas from Veterans of Politics. Today, our guest is going to be Socorro Keenan, and she is running for Nevada's Secretary of State. Jim, do you have anything?
Yeah, I actually had quite a bit, but I'll just keep it.
You go ahead.
Keep it short.
Go ahead. It's your show, baby. Let's hear it.
All right. So I'm getting really frustrated with the Clark County School Board. Like, I literally just had a...
Really? You had to bring up the Clark County School Board? You know, that's probably why my back went out on Wednesday. Because I was supposed to be at the school board on Thursday and I couldn't make it. But I posted a lot of stuff about Jesus Jara and, you know, the Pendleton bike, the wife living in Florida, the kids living in Florida too. You're not committed to Nevada if you got your family living somewhere, unless you're active duty military. Right. And then you're committed to the whole country at large. But check this out. But hold on, before you say something.
No, go ahead.
And then all those open meeting violations and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I didn't get to go, but they ousted him out 4-3. But Katie Williams, I was surprised she didn't vote to oust him out. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was a shocker to me. And she's Facebook friends, so she's getting all the stuff that I'm posting.
Right.
And plus, I spoke to her about Jara. Not in detail, but
right.
I was surprised. Please continue about the school board.
All right. So I'm at the point now where I think that I've been getting feedback from a lot of teachers, but one in particular that I have literally been friends with this individual since I was 20, 21.
That was only like 5 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And it's gotten to the point now where I'm just so frustrated because I do understand some people's take on education, and they're like, okay, like 2/3 of the state budget already goes to education. Like, teachers are all whiners. Like, they get a lot of benefits that most people don't. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna disagree that they don't get a lot of benefits. And I'm not calling to increase taxes to spend more money on it.
Where's the marijuana money for teachers' education?
Right. I'm not going there, but literally I'm at the point now where it's like, this is one of the individuals that I know her heart is in the right place.
The teacher.
Yes. And she puts a lot of time and effort into her students. She's got 2 amazing kids herself. She's a single mother.
Oh, wow.
Like, she does a lot. And when she's at the point where she wants to give up and just quit teaching.
Oh, wow.
To me, that's very upsetting. I wish I could say that I knew what the answer was, but I don't. I really don't know how to fix it, other than
why she wants to quit.
Just because she's tired of the fact that the school board there were several school board trustee members that said, hey, if you don't like your job, just quit.
Oh, wow.
And
these are coming from non-teachers that are school board mostly.
Right. And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, be fair. I've made that statement to certain team members that work under me in the past too, but I think it's unfortunate that if the school district loses someone like this that actually does really care about the students. And like, I'm going to drop another name, and I do consider this individual a friend, but he's the exception, not the rule. And mutual friend of ours, Ruben De Silva. You know, he owns 4 homes, makes over 6 figures a year.
Who?
Ruben De Silva.
4 homes,
Yeah.
6 figures. He's a school teacher at Rancho.
Yeah.
What's he doing? He got another side gig going on?
He's got some stuff figured out, trust me. Now, the 6-figure salary is not completely coming from his teacher salary, but let's just put it this way. His teacher salary is over $60,000 a year. And then, which, I'm not taking anything away from him, his military pension.
Right.
You know, that's great. I think he's done a really good job at managing his finances, and maybe other school teachers could do a little better job.
Maybe he should start teaching a finance class.
Right. Yeah, maybe so. But what I'm trying to get at is the school board, when they criticize school teachers, bring up people like Ruben De Silva. Well, I know teachers that make over 6 figures a year and own 4 houses and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's the exception, not the rule.
Right.
So I think they need to
just
take
know
that.
how to work money.
Yeah, and I think they need to take that into consideration. So honestly, from my standpoint, I think the whole entire school board should step down.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I think we get rid of the superintendent. And even though Katie Williams is a friend of mine, I think Katie Williams needs to go. Wow. I think all of them need to go.
Well, see, that's veterans in politics. We say it the way it is.
Just wipe the slate clean. And then, so I do have a little bit of a solution on it. I do think that it should be mandatory that in order to sit on the school board, you have had to have been a teacher. Mm-hmm. You have also had to, and you have to spend a minimum of an hour a week in an actual classroom that you don't get paid for in a district that you're not responsible for. And
well, why don't you bring that up to the next legislative session?
Yeah,
like they did with elected judges.
Yeah.
After Bonaventure, Joe Bonaventure Jr.,
yeah,
who did 2 years as a practicing attorney in the state of Nevada,
right,
and he won his election as a justice of peace. Although he's a very good justice of peace,
right.
But after his ordeal, they changed it to 5 years justice of peace, 5 years muni, 10 years district, 15 years appellate, 15 years supreme. So he made that, because of him, they changed the whole thing. Same thing with the sheriff, too. Remember, Yahoo could have ran for sheriff, right. And then they passed legislation saying you have to be post-certified for 5 years to be a candidate for sheriff. So maybe you should bring something up like that. If you want to be a school board school board trustee, you have to be a teacher for what, a year maybe?
Yeah.
Minimum year?
Or just at least, yeah.
And it's the same thing with higher education, school board regent. You got one guy that's a school board regent, just graduated high school. Now, how is he going to tell?
Right.
How is he going to tell students, hey, you need to continue your education and go to college when you got your school board regent hasn't even went to college? Yeah. I think you should have at least an AA to be a candidate for school board regent.
Yeah.
Something for higher education. Lead by example, goddamn.
Yeah. I mean, and so I'm not huge on mandating things because I typically steer away from that. But on this one, I think it's about time. We've went through all this stuff with the school board for so many years now. Right. Nothing has changed. Mm-hmm. And
we're still 50th.
I still think
that's a running record we got going on.
Yeah. I think we're at the level now where we do need to take some drastic measures.
Yes.
And
well, they took one and got rid of the superintendent. I thought that was a drastic measure. I haven't seen that done before.
Yeah.
Not at a school board.
And again, I'm sure all hear about it. But to Katie Williams, I consider you a friend. And I do love your passion and respect your service. But, I'm one of those people that, like, if I'm going to call everybody out, I'm calling everybody out.
Yeah. That's like we did with those judges we helped put on the bench in family court.
Yeah.
Calling all of them out.
At some point.
Screw up, you screw up.
Right. Yeah.
Don't be elected.
Right.
Be like us.
Yeah.
We can do what the hell we want. Once you become elected, you have a certain moral obligation to the people that voted for you. You know?
Yeah.
You just do.
Yeah.
If you don't want that moral obligation, don't put your name on the ballot.
But I'm just going to leave it at this, though, since this is the first show that we've done together since we got back from Winnemucca. I do want to congratulate Mike McDonald on getting reelected as state party chair. I know that certain people don't care for him or whatever, but I consider Mike McDonald a close friend.
And he made history. He's the longest serving state party chairman in the nation.
And just to sum it up real quick, it's not even so much that we served on the e-board together, but I'll try to keep my emotions in check on this one a little bit. He talked a lot about losing his mom.
He was very close to his mom and dad.
And the situation I went through, right? And he did a lot for my mom.
Yeah.
So loyalty goes a long way.
Absolutely.
With Mike McDonald. We don't always agree.
No, you don't have to.
But the nice part about Mike and I, and that's one of the reasons why I appreciated that T-shirt that he put out at the state convention, is him and I can argue vehemently behind closed doors. But once we come out
in public,
everything's good.
Yeah.
We just hash it out in private.
Yeah. That's how you got to do it sometimes.
Oh, that's how grown-ups act.
Yeah. Yeah, and the school board trustee was saying, who's a grown-up in the room?
Right. True. All right.
You got everything? You good now?
Yeah.
You take a deep breath?
Yeah.
Namaste. You know? Oh, we got a guest.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. Right. I thought you was a guest for a minute. So we have... No,
always give me a hard time.
I'm hoping he doesn't give me a hard time.
Oh, worse.
Oh, great.
Miss Keenan.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself, ma'am.
Well, my name is Socorro Keenan. I'm running for...
Roll the R's.
Socorro Keenan. There you go. It means help. So
help.
Yeah, so it's SOS, Secretary of State.
How about UNLV? UNLV. What the UNLV? Never leave Vegas. I forget how they worded that. I forget. That was on the show last.
Oh, it was on the show. Okay, I didn't see it.
Have to go back and watch that.
I'll go.
You never leave Vegas.
You never leave Vegas. No, you have to fight hard to fight the culture of corruption.
Absolutely.
That's where we're at.
And it's a huge.
It's huge. It's huge, and the Secretary of State has a lot to do with paper.
Yeah.
And paper, every country, paper cannot lie. Signatures should not lie.
Yeah.
And when you start messing with that and layering it with just a bunch of blah, 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 we got a problem. We've had a problem with a lot of corruption in the courts, like you were saying, and also with signatures, forging.
Is this your bio?
No, my bio is, I've been a talent agent. I'll get back to that.
Yeah,
I've been a talent agent. First. All right. I've been a talent agent 34 years, not doing much right now. Obviously, there's a problem with COVID.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Until we understand each other, that we need to respect each other.
Vaccine mandates, mask mandates.
We just have to respect to do what's right. Like people are being treated...
like criminals.
Yes, you can't do that. We have to give people more credit and stop trying not to get along.
But United States is the only country that has such a large prison population out of all the countries in the world.
That's true. We're international.
Yeah. And what happens is we take petty crimes or drug abusers and we lock them up in prison.
Yeah.
And then what we do, we just educate them how to become a prisoner. How to become a criminal. Right? That's exactly what we did.
That's exactly right. Now,
you put them around criminals, you're going to be criminals, right?
That's correct. Now, remember I was telling you about, earlier on, we were talking about the president from El Salvador, Bukele. Mm-hmm. Bukele used the money that he found was all distorted and diverted from the help from the United States to the leaders, past leaders. Uh-huh. He went to the prisons, and there were two major gangs that hated each other mortally. And he got them together. Mm-hmm. And now they're working together to build all kinds of things for the country. So you can make it work if you have that talent to be a leader.
Right. That's
what it's about.
That's kind of like Trump crossing over into, was it South Korea? North Korea? Yeah. South Korea.
North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only president I've seen that ever done that.
Yeah, you have to have courage. And right now we're in a culture to scare everybody, and people are afraid, but you can't be afraid of the truth. We cannot suppress the truth anymore. And I'm there right now. And I'm going to fight hard for my kids, not even to serve the public. Right. I was listening to all these people say, I'm here to protect and serve. Yeah, but they don't say who. Have you noticed a lot of these people running for certain things, sheriff and all? I'm here to serve and protect, but they mean themselves. They don't mean that. They don't say public.
Right. I still want to get to your bio. The only thing I learned from that is that you were a talent agency and you're not doing it anymore.
No, I've been a consultant. I've helped people open up businesses because I really believe that once you work for once you become very good at what you do, I believe in talent. God gave everybody talent, and free will. And free will. And we have to do the best we can with the best we have. And I really believe in that we have to share. I've been in sports, so I learned how to be a team player. You have to learn to be a team player to be able to work with everybody. It doesn't matter if they're not up to your standards or whatever. Even if you have to wait a little bit to get there, that's okay. People have to learn how to work together and help them and build businesses. That's what Secretary of State should do, is to educate, workshops, not overcharge them because, guess what? We're in trouble now.
I'm trying to educate myself on your bio.
My bio?
Still with us, a 34-year talent agency.
Well, okay.
You got kids, you're married, you got a little fling on the side. What's going on with you? You got 5 houses.
I have 3 kids.
You live here, you've been here 40 years. What's going on? Come on. Give me some bio.
I'll give you some bio. I've been here 36 years.
Okay, now we go.
And I have 3 kids.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm a grandmother.
There we go. Bio's coming.
He wants to hear this.
Bio is coming. Background. That's what a bio is. I looked it up the other day. It says, tell about yourself.
And I'm a family person.
Family
is, if without family, we have nothing. Nothing. It doesn't matter how many houses, how many cars you have. Family is the nucleus of everything. And they're destroying our families with the culture of corruption.
She should be a PR for VIP.
I'm telling you. No, but that's that. I've worked in many facets of this town. I worked for a governor. I represented the Hispanics. Governor Bob Miller.
Okay.
And
you know his son?
Yes, Ross. Yes, and they had a daughter. And he has a sister.
Okay.
In fact, when I worked there in 1990, he was a great guy. I have all my respects to him. I really do. But I was thrown in a race to run for city council, and I did. 20 days before the primary.
What year was this?
1991.
Oh, okay. I wasn't around in 91. I mean, I was around, but
you were around, but you were a kid. You were okay. So I came in 3rd place. I was very blessed to walk.
Did they give you a medal or something for 3rd place?
No, but that's okay. I got experience.
Okay.
But this time I'm starting earlier, and I want to go all over Nevada, and I want to know what the challenges are that people have.
You know, we talked about Ross Miller, and there was a comment I read in the RJ. I just want to say Sybil Dotson, who's the new Justice of the Peace for
Yes.
Las Vegas. Congratulations on getting appointed. And Ross Miller made a comment, that's why I remember that, saying that she had a lot of experience in landlord-tenant disputes and all that stuff. So that was one of the reasons why they voted. So congratulations to Sybil Dotson for being in New Las Vegas Justice of the Peace. She's the one that took Melanie Tobias's place. If
Oh,
you're
yes.
keeping up with the news.
Yes, I'm keeping a little bit, but
Please
I'm
continue.
trying.
I had to say that because
That's
sometimes
good,
I'll
'cause
forget.
that's
and
good.
I'll,
You got to push it in there.
And I'll forget.
You know,
and I'll go home and I'm like,
that's okay. Who
man,
are you
I
talking
forgot
to?
that. Yeah.
And that's okay.
Okay.
But yeah, the most important thing that I've worked with all kinds of people in what I've done in the talent side, and I've had an agency, Supreme Agency, since 1988. It's been incorporated.
Okay.
And since I don't like to go to confession that much, I figured I'd better, open up an employment agency. So if they didn't have talent, I'd say, well, let's get you a job, okay?
Yeah.
And we did, to make sure that people were balanced and if they can go back to singing and get lessons, then we just bring them back into the other side.
Yeah.
But I've done that, and I love that. I love to see people's talents and in the past also, besides the talent agency, I've worked in many other jobs. I've been pulled out of my business. I've worked for Vega Enterprises. That they didn't have they wanted a woman to sell liquor, beer, and wine. I don't even drink. So
that makes me perfect.
that makes me the person that's going to come back with money.
If I got a club, I want a bartender that don't drink. Yeah. Because all he's going to be doing is pouring drinks and taking the money, right?
That's true.
He's not going to be in the back drinking, right? So that's what I would want. Somebody that doesn't do it.
There you go. There you go. I worked for many other companies. I was pulled out to help them. I worked at the Dunes Hotel. I know casino marketing. Yeah. I worked in private banking in Europe.
Okay.
And I do understand exactly how this corruption came into our world. So we need to get a balance now. People won't learn all the things that we weren't even allowed to learn in college or anywhere else except from life. And now I'm here because I really want to bring the opportunity from everybody to start talking to each other, and let's put everything that's important about family and about things that help us keep our families together. Yeah. And that means the courts. The courts are very corrupt. And I've told them to their face. Because they have narratives and they will not even use the law. And so if you don't use the law, and nobody's calling on them, there's no oversight for anybody right now. People can have all kinds of challenges, and who do you go to? People don't have boundaries who are in the government, and that's what we need to get back to. That's what I grew up with. I grew up with boundaries. I went to Catholic school. I know that this is right and this is wrong. So I have a problem trying to how do you want credit when you go in front of some of these judges and they don't read anything.
Okay. I want to just bring it to what you have preview over.
Yes.
You're running for lieutenant governor, right?
No, Secretary of State.
Secretary of State.
I'm sorry. Where is that person?
Secretary of State. You're running for Secretary of State.
Yes.
Do you know the job description for Secretary of State?
Yes, it's an administrative position. It's narrowed down to businesses, securities, getting licenses, and people who have, who speak other I said notaries, people who do any kind of documents. They have to go in there, and corporations. Yes, I do know.
So what makes you qualified for that position?
What makes me qualified? I know paper. When I worked in Europe, I learned. What
kind of paper? Bamboo? You roll it up?
Yeah, you roll it up and you say, "Hey, let's shoot some." No, I know that we have a challenge with signatures. What has to do with signatures, and there's a lot of forgery going on, and I do know how to read paper, and I know and I've seen paperwork from officials that use stamps. Somebody's using their stamps and they're notarized. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on to take properties away from people. I've seen a lot.
With eminent domain?
No, not eminent domain. It's not eminent domain. It's just...
How?
How? It's just... We don't have a law, just so you know, Steve, we don't have a law that protects people from someone not taking their property in. If you go to Debbie Conway, I've spoke to her about this before. Mm-hmm. She says, Socorro, we don't have a law.
Who is the recorder?
Who is a recorder of Clark County. We don't have a law where, let's say in your parcel, you say, hey, look, I have a deed of trust on my property. Anybody who has a purple face or pink face can go in there and say, start adding things to it. Okay, and say, no, this is, I filed, there's a default on this or whatever. If you're not paying attention, the last person that files gets the thunder in court that it's going to go a certain way against your deed of trust.
But don't you do it on the penalty of perjury or no?
What does it mean, Steve? Nobody can, who's going to enforce it? The problem is nobody's there. We're talking about ghosts, wannabes, people that don't even exist. They're afraid. So many people that are right now, and I have a passion for this. They are afraid to do what's right because they're in some kind of a club that's more important than doing what's right and saying, and why don't they do it?
So what do you think about the current Secretary of State?
She did not follow through with her fiduciary duties.
How so?
Well, first, any document needs to be verified, authenticated to certify. You cannot and you have to open it up. For example, the voting. We all know it doesn't matter who would have won. Do it many times. If you go to a casino and you win the big money, you have to go in a room. This is the way it used to be. I don't know now. You go in a room and they count the money. I don't know how many times, and you can't leave the room. Why couldn't they do something, set up a system instead of a machine that you can't blame anybody? It's a machine. Or, it diverts into other things. For example, when you take out, this is what I learned. Clark County, the election department used to be in that big building, the huge building on on Bonneville. Well, when you separate the brain with the technology where everything's at and you open it up in some other place in North Las Vegas, you know this. Okay, why? There's plenty of room in that building. We're paying the taxes for that. Why are they trying to
pay the taxes for the other one too?
That's right. So all these diversions, divide and conquer, you got to watch this. And that is criminal. These things, all these things that if you and I, any of us would have done this, we'd be in jail.
So let me ask you this real quick. The secretary, we've had a Secretary of State race. It's getting pretty crowded now.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, a lot of the stuff that you brought up is the same stuff that I have heard from other people that are running for Secretary of State.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
so, like, what?
That's good.
So, do you know how many opponents you're going to draw?
Yes, but you know what I learned in sports? You're going to be the best you can be. You can't look at...
What sports did you play?
Oh, I played softball. I broke the record in the mile in Claremont High School.
Oh, wow.
California.
What'd you run?
The mile. What do you mean? Oh, it was almost, I don't know. My brother told me, I forgot. It was almost a minute. I mean, almost 6 minutes.
I was like, you run a mile in a minute.
I'm sorry. I'm correcting myself. Let me qualify this.
No.
It's 5, he said it was 5:56 or 5:58. 5 minutes and 58 or something like that. I don't remember. He's the one that is the one always telling me.
The reason why I'm asking you this question is because I find it interesting, and it's not just Secretary of State, it's kind of like governor too. There's not now all of a sudden there's how many Republicans now?
Running for governor?
There's
Yeah.
It's probably half a dozen or more.
Yeah, it's like, so I'm just
Sure.
I'm kind of curious as to how do you separate yourself from your opponent?
oh,
Like,
from my,
because me personally, like, if I were to say, hey, I think I'd be a good governor and I have all these ideas. But then when you start getting these other people announcing, I'd be like, I've worked with that person before, this person before, and I think they would do a good job. So I wouldn't even run.
well, to answer your question, our motto is, do you want free or do you want freedom? And there's a price to pay. I read everything you have here. It's pretty much connecting with what I know in my heart. And I know I have a passion for connecting people. I don't disconnect. Right. You can't disconnect because there's nowhere to go. Right. I mean, it's like we all have to follow the street signs, right? Right. We have to. It'd be chaotic if we didn't. So at least that's one thing that we've held on to. Everything else is all over the place.
What do you believe the qualifiers to be Secretary of State?
What are the qualifiers?
What do you believe the qualifiers are?
Give me an example. Like,
well, you running for it, not me.
No, well, I mean, the qualifiers have to be that you understand the importance of the most important thing that moves, and that's paper. If you change original signatures from black, I mean, it used to be blue. There's a reason why it's blue. You can copy and forge everything that's black. There are so many forgers in this town.
Because I remember when Ross Miller ran for Secretary of State.
Yes.
He was pushing that he's an attorney. So he understands the law and that a lot of these things are going to be in front of the courts. For example, the machines not working and recount the votes and all that. So you think being an attorney is a good qualifier to be a Secretary of State?
I'm going to say no comment because
I just want you to tell me what the qualifiers are. I'm still waiting for it. So that's why I threw one at you. You want an example. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down.
I understand.
You pick it up?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I know paper. I know.
What does that mean? I know paper too.
I'm going to explain to you that I also am a translator. I was a translator, but I've seen all kinds of papers from different sources, and people would say, what is this? I got this in the mail. They don't speak English. Right. And I would look at it, and I looked at a lot of things. I saw how I saw exactly the differences they were misleading so many people, and I can't really get into it, but I do know I know how the paper tricks can fool so many people, and unless you connect it, then these people are gonna lose things. They're gonna divert them to the wrong side, and I'm totally against. I'm messing with people who don't speak English. I really am. Well, I truly am.
That's cool. That's good.
Because I understand. Yes, I am.
Basically, that's
totally.
So that's a good qualifier.
Yeah. So, but I mean, how would you translate it? How does that transition into being Secretary of State?
Well, it's simple. You're
because let me just
elaborate.
Qualify it a little bit more. Yeah, elaborate a little more. So, like, obviously, as Secretary of State, you're not going to be able to go to every household in the state and translate for people. But what kind of law or what could you do from Secretary of State standpoint to help those people? Because I do agree with you. I do think that is a good thing.
Well, to make it simple, I read the NRSs. I read them.
NRS 260.953. What's that one mean?
No, I didn't say I memorized it. Come on, Steve. I didn't say I memorized it. But then once you know, we have a basic, we have the basics. Just look it up. That's all we have. We have to look up things and enforce them. That's what I don't see. It's not even on the books. It's just how they feel. we're into how I feel. I don't like you. I don't like the way you look. I think you're with those groups. We've been grouped in a negative way.
Yeah.
And when that narrative goes on there, those people who are doing that's criminal because it's dividing the country. Don't call it United States if you keep doing this narrative.
Okay. I still want to know the qualifiers are. You said paper. That was kind of vague.
Paper tricks. I know paper tricks.
That was vague. And then you said you're bilingual. Are you certified?
Am I certified?
Are you certified bilingual?
No, I'm not certified. I have a license. Yeah, I didn't get certified until
you had a license?
I had a license. Oh. I got rid of it because I realized.
Why did you get a license?
Why?
Yeah.
Because you have to have a license if you're going to translate. And now
so you're a translator.
Yes, but
where?
Here. I've been here the whole time.
Where? I mean, for the
for my
system?
Business.
Oh, for your business.
For the business, yes.
So you got a license to translate in your business?
Yes. That was.
Why would you get a license? Why would you give the state of Nevada $150 for a license?
Because it was demanded. I went to court. Clark County walked into my office one day and they said, you have to get a license if you're a translator. That's it. They pushed that. I said, fine, I'll go.
How long ago was it?
2011, I think it was.
And you got it here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Clark County. Yes.
Because I usually after the show, when people tell me stuff, I'll go and double check them, and then I'll make remarks.
Oh, sure. No. Go look. Yeah, you can go look. And the main thing, look under my name.
Where'd you get you said you got it in the state. What
Clark County.
State? What state? Oh,
Clark County, yes.
What county agency did you use to? I always thought it was.
No, it's Clark. Wherever you're at.
The state that gives you.
No, that's it. You know when that is, Steve? That was since 2013 that happened.
Okay.
That's when that's when they changed everything where they want everyone to go and get certified.
What county agency did you use to get certified to be a translator?
I went to Clark County to get a business license. I didn't get the certification.
You did not get the certification.
It didn't come into play until late 2013.
So you did get it in 2013?
No, I did not. I just continued with my translator.
Oh, because you told me that you were certified in translate. You had a license to certify. That's not true?
No, I have a license with Clark County. As a translator.
As a translator. Oh, you got a license with Clark County as a translator?
Yeah, in those days, they didn't have to be certified through Secretary of State. That changed in 2013.
Okay, what department gave you this certification?
Clark County business license.
Oh, they have that in the business?
They had it, yes.
I haven't seen that.
Well, go look it up.
Really look it up.
Yeah, when I got that in, I think it was 2011. And in fact, I'll get a call.
I just want to get it clear, Ms. Keenan.
Yes.
Since we're talking about certification, you being a translator, and you said you used it, and you said you got a license, and you used it for your own business, and you said you got it in Clark County.
Yes.
And you got it at the Clark County business license. And the reason why I'm so specific, and I'm saying that, is because I am going to look you up just to make sure. And if you're wrong,
you can call me on it.
I'm going to call you out just to let you know. Okay. Yeah. All right. Please continue. Yeah. Please continue.
So what I'm going back to is the basics of what the administrative position requires. Mm-hmm. And that would be using the fiduciary duties, implementing for the Secretary of State. And she has a lot of employees. And when you call it's over 100.
What's the budget for the Secretary of State?
I don't know. I have
to they say don't ask a question if you don't know the answer in politics. So apparently I already know the answer.
You do. I don't know the budget.
You don't know the budget.
I have to look at the executive budget.
But you're running for this position, Ms. Keenan. Don't you think that one of those things you should know is the budget? And how many employees the Secretary of State
it's over 100
on the payroll?
Well, the ones I'm going with today, the corruption. When you call, it's a skeleton. Well, it is. Hey, I mean, I wouldn't be running if there wasn't corruption. The bottom line is they have skeleton crews, and we're all these people that are getting paid.
I want to know what makes you qualified, because if I was going to vote, I wouldn't vote for you right now based on this interview.
All right.
What makes you qualified to be a Secretary of State?
What makes,
I'm just upfront. I'm just an upfront
that's
person.
fine.
What makes you qualified to be a Secretary of State? Because the reason is I'm just tired of people just going for elected positions to get voted in, and they don't even know what the hell they're doing. What makes you qualified to be a Secretary of State for the great state of Nevada? What makes you, Socorro Keenan, qualified instead of knowing paper?
What are we talking? What other jobs does the Secretary of State do, Steve?
They do a lot.
What?
They do a lot with the elections, and I want to hear. I want to hear.
That's paper. That has to do at the end of the day.
Get specific on paper.
Okay,
elections.
when you can't count, when you can't find ways to cross-reference certain things that were on the books as far as the counts, who using. I know with my daughter, she hasn't lived with me for a while.
Okay.
And I was getting her ballot for years. I called them. They kept sending it. So obviously these are the big basics. I'm telling you, the basics are being overlooked by your thoughts, because if you can't look at the base, it's not a genius to have to run for Secretary of State.
Right.
You don't have to be. You have to know how to count. You have to know how to verify. You have to know how to authenticate or get somebody to authenticate. Secretary of State can hire a lot of people. If I don't know something, I would find someone who's smarter than me. That's the bottom line. I don't have an ego. I want to make sure that it gets done right. And I know that I can learn. I don't know everything about the Secretary of State, but I'm going to learn.
What do you do? What do you do for a living then?
Right now, I'm going to be running for Secretary of State. I'm 65 years old.
What do you do for a living then? What do you do to turn the lights on, to pay the mortgage? What do you do?
I don't have a mortgage. I was left homeless.
Okay. What do you do to put food on the table? How do you make your living? How do you get income? What do you do?
Right now,
because when you go for elected position, your whole life is on the table and everybody knows everything about you.
Exactly. Right now,
what do you do?
Right now, I am getting Social Security. I started to get Social Security.
Okay.
So I'm on a very limited income.
How much money do you think it would cost to run for a statewide position as Secretary of State?
It would cost? I didn't know there was a
oh yeah, there's a cost.
I'm saying in your eyes.
In everybody's eyes that run.
Yeah, I know, but
I ran for office 5 times, and there's always a cost. Jim ran once, Jim?
Yeah. And so did I.
Cost.
I ran once.
And there was a cost, right, when you ran for city council, right?
Of course.
91?
I would say probably $1.5 million,
well,
something like that.
How you plan? How much do you have right now? If I was to pull up your campaign expense report, how much would it say that you already raised?
Just started. I started about a week ago.
Okay, so you haven't raised any money.
No, I'm in the process.
You're in the process.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm in the beginning. You're talking to me in the beginning.
It's it's just like these judges' race. Everybody piles into one and leave the other stuff all open for people to get reelected, which I think is crazy. You already have about 4 candidates running for Secretary of State.
4 male candidates. Yes.
What would make you stand out?
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm the only bilingual one right now.
The only bilingual. What else?
I would say that I really.
You said it. You just said it right now. There are 4 male candidates. What's the opposite of that?
Female.
Bingo. So are you running because you are the only female candidate?
No, because I know I qualify.
And the Me Too movement might just come your way?
Not at all. No.
Like it did in that last election when they wiped out all the male judges over at the district court. And all the women, not saying, there's some of them were never not qualified. There was some of them that was surprised they got elected. But it was a big Me Too movement, and people
Steve, I don't believe in the Me Too.
Well, hold on, let me finish. There was a big Me Too movement, and people just picked by gender. That was it.
No, we're not going there. I'm not even going to go there because it's a dead end.
You went there. You know why I said you went there? Because I said how many? There's 4 already in this race. You said they're all males. You're already.
Well, I'm just stating the obvious. I'm the only female. I'm bilingual. I'm reaching out to everybody and find out what the concerns are. I've already been walking everywhere and going places.
You walk for a statewide race?
No, I've been going to different events.
Okay.
Okay, I've been going to different events. I'm meeting people because I care. I'm beginning to see that a lot of people are oppressed, suppressed, and depressed. And I know
suppressed and depressed.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely. I know God's talking to me.
You should get appointed to the DFS, Department of Family Service, because there's a lot of depression and oppression in there.
I know that. I've been there too. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you went through that. I'm sure you've been through something.
I never went through that. No.
Well,
I know a lot of people that have.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in a way, when you care about people, in a way, you go through it too. If you care about people. I know when I care about people, I feel their pain. And that's what this is. We're going through painful, questionable everything that's happening to us. Either we get answers and we're never going to get answers because we're going the wrong direction. So we either start going, you don't have to be so smart and Secretary of State is an administrative position. You find people that are qualified and I know how to do that. I know how to interview people, screen them, so forth.
Have you reached out to the current Secretary of State, Barbara Cegavske?
I sure have. Many times.
And
big zero. She won't talk. She won't write.
She won't talk to you.
She won't talk. She won't write. If she was sitting right here, I'd tell her. I'm not going to hold my horses on that. If she can't, she doesn't want to, she's on her way out. Why would she want to talk to me? Right? Think about it. If you're on your way out, why would you want to deal with the truth? Hey, I'm on my way out. Let me run.
If I was still staying there, I wouldn't want to talk to you because you're trying to take a position from me that I'm already sitting in.
Then you asked me, why did I want to talk to her? Why didn't I talk to her? And I'm answering your question.
Have you been to the Secretary of State office in Carson? Yeah, have you been there?
I haven't been there.
You've
no.
never been there?
No, I have not.
Okay.
No.
So, Ms. Keenan, let me ask you this question. And I think Steve brought it up pretty good. One of the things that, we've been doing this for so many years. And one of the things, especially with like endorsement interviews, sometimes it's almost a little frustrating at times because we'll get there'll be one seat over here and there'll be 15 people running for it. And then there'll be one seat here that's super important and there's one person running for it. And then vice versa. I can go on and on and on. So I guess my final question to you would be, I understand that you know paper, you're bilingual, and I think that's a great thing. But I'm just not so sure about Secretary of State. What about Assembly, State Senate? You've already ran for City Council before, County Commission, school board that I talked about in the beginning. Why are you so hung up on having to run for Secretary of State?
Because I know a lot of what's been going on.
Yeah.
As far as corruption.
Yeah.
But it's everywhere though. Why you pick Secretary of State?
Because that's where a lot of everything gets filtered through there.
Really? Family court don't go through. There's a lot of corruption there.
Pretty much a lot of things get filtered through the Secretary of State. Whether
all right. Since you brought it up, for example, like what?
Seizing people's properties through different levels of government entities.
When was the last time the Secretary of State office seized somebody's property?
They have to authenticate paperwork. It's done through authenticate. Once again, it goes through goes through the courts.
But you said the Secretary of State seized people's property, right?
And I'm saying it filters through. Filters. In other words, her job is, or that person's job is, to authenticate notaries. Like if you have questions about a notary, they're the ones who give notaries their books. I mean, they're the ones who, license them. Mm-hmm. So if you have a question about a notary,
by the way.
I did too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a question about a notary and something you see that doesn't match up or whatever, you deserve, especially through the complaints that people file and so forth, you need to see that book and see if the person who was there, who used a rubber stamp to get a notary from the government, a rubber stamp, and is notarized, see the book and see if that person was present or not. And you know you cannot rubber stamp a note. You have to have signature, an original signature.
And you can't notarize your own signature.
Correct.
Like an attorney did a couple years ago. Said he didn't know the law.
So
an attorney said he didn't know the law. Get it? An attorney said he didn't know the law.
Now, right, that's why I was telling you, Steve, you can't go with it. If you want to qualify people based on their, I went to college. I've had hard knocks of business, learning a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but I do know I'm flexible to learn. And I do know that paper is very important in everything that we do, And it has to, and administered properly, counting votes properly and checking, there has to be a system set for people to vote and not be afraid. I used to tell people, you need to vote because it matters when you vote. Well, for the longest time, I've been saying, hey, it matters who counts your votes. That's the problem now.
So, all right, let's get down to brass taxes then. Do you believe in voter ID and why? Absolutely.
Voter ID, once again, it's paper. It has to do with identification. It has to do with, there's a trail to it. There's a history. Yes, absolutely.
So why are there so many dead people getting ballots? And if you were Secretary of State, how would you resolve that issue?
Well, that goes with...
You'll go and have a conversation with the coroner's office, maybe?
Well, there's a lot of things I know, Steve. I worked in Palm Mortuary, too. Okay, when someone dies, they have different sections, okay? They have for the veterans, they have for Catholics, for, different Mormons and so forth. But then there's the unchurched.
Right.
Okay? So who do you think gets those, who do you think gets to figure that out? Who though they belong to? The Mormons. They get to layer those the names of the people. That's happened. You need to read about that.
The Mormons.
The Mormons, yeah, because they can go, and it has to do with, a lot of things happen when people pass.
Right.
And that's where people make the most money. The government does. That's a fact. So once you can, if people don't use those death certificates properly, then it moves into a different direction. So that's what's been known in the past that I learned. Okay. I'm telling it like I learned it. What happened, I don't know if it's still happening, but that happened before.
I guess I'm looking for probably more detailed explanation as to how would you avoid sending ballots to homes of people that are already deceased?
Well, we have to look at lists, where they're generated from, where they originated from. And it has.
Do you know how it's currently working now?
I've been doing research on it because I can't get answers, to be honest with you. But I'm looking into the whole thing, how it got so out of proportion. But I could tell you one thing. United States went to all the third world countries and said, hey, how did you guys get to win all these times? They've learned how third world countries win all the time. And they're practicing it in the United States. So everything we were taught that had sophisticated, thought processes and mechanisms, they're not here today.
Okay, so you're running for this position of Secretary of State because you are passionate about it, right?
Yes.
And you're bilingual and you know paper, right?
I mean, papers, when
I get
signature,
it. I get it. What do you think is wrong currently with the Secretary of State's office? How would you fix it? And what type of amendment, changes, laws you'd pass if you were Secretary of State to the next legislative body? Because, Secretary of State, I believe they hold about 5 different bills that they could go ahead and introduce to the Assembly and the Senate. So what bills would you draft up as Secretary of State to make that office better?
The one most important bill would be when you sign, we need to go back to basics on signatures, because signature is what's the most important. Even in our schools, you were talking about the schools, they're not teaching the kids cursive. And I'm a Catholic, and Catholics were the ones who opened up schools and hospitals. And they taught us cursive for a reason, because that pretty much identifies you. So when you don't teach kids cursive, then when they get older, it's pretty much set up to fail. If you're successful, anybody can copy print, anybody. Right. So when you go back to a long time ago where we learned from what's important, that would be the first thing, and it should be blue ink. Now, other countries, what they do is... I
thought black was the preferred ink.
No, black is not... Yeah, so you can't tell what's original and what's fake. What's a copy. Okay. You have to have the original. That's why they had all those problems with houses, with all those deed of trust, because they didn't have... So you would change legislation and say that all notaries have to use blue ink, basically. Blue ink for the original, to identify the original from the copies. It doesn't currently say that now? No, it's black. It's black ink. Okay. So that's one. How would you propose that legislation? I mean, what would the language say? I mean, how would you go about doing it? I would have to look at the format that they're using, and I would go from there. Okay. What's currently wrong with the Secretary of State office right now? Because apparently there's something wrong with it. Right? Well, we all agree, and you said you heard from the other candidates. And you're just not looking for a job. You're looking to change what's going on in the state of Nevada. I'm looking for a job that's going to change. That's going to change the format that keeps making us lose. I mean, the truth. That's what I'm looking for. I know that. Why would I be looking for a job? I'm 65 years old. Why would I be looking for something that's going to be so difficult? It's a difficult job because you have to, there's due diligence in this. You can't just act like you're going to just sit there and do nothing. You have to look at all the challenges that are upon us, and it's paper. I don't care what, let's go with, it starts with paper. Everything starts on paper. Everything. No matter what, this had to be drawn by somebody or whatever, whether it's on a computer or so forth. But the computers, now we're having more problems with computers. So you're blaming this kind of system when somebody had to do something to program from here a person to the computer. So that's when you can't get that straight, then we're going to have the biggest problems and gaps. Yeah. And it's not connecting to where we can get to the truth because people blame each other. So you're saying the current problem with the Secretary of State is the computers? They blame it on the computers. When you want to get your license, or the mail. You send your email, right? No. If you send, let's say you want to pay for your annual list of officers, and you send it in time, but guess what? The mail's slow right now. So they're saying, no, we're going to charge you $180 because you didn't send it. I said, yeah, I sent it. Here's a certified mail. But, let me go look at it. Well, it's late. Either way, it's late. So you think it's a money grab? Secretary of State? Of course. Office? Absolutely. I would agree with you on that. 100%. Yeah. It is a money grab. They're nickel and diming people on those kind of things. I could tell you this. I had to renew one of my corporations. Yes. And I went on Silver Flume, right? Yeah. I have a dashboard. And I got a letter back or email saying, we received your payment or your payment is gone and blah, blah, blah. And I checked a few days later. It wasn't. Yeah. It was default. Me too. So I call up the Secretary of State's office and I'm like, what's going on? You said you got my payment. What's going on? Well, no, we send it back. I'm like, why'd you send it back? So I could go into default so you could charge me
a late fee. I said, is this a scam?
You can go. It happened to me too.
Hung up the phone on me.
Yep. And how many employees
And
did
that's
they
all
have?
I ask.
Steve, how many employees did we say they had?
All I ask if this was a scam. Now, I don't know why this person would take a personal offense to it, because last time I heard, the Secretary of State office belongs to the state of Nevada. It's not owned by anyone.
Public.
It's public.
Right.
That person's
Public
getting paid by
information.
tax dollars.
Correct.
You can't
Public
get stocks in the Secretary of State. So I don't know why it would be offensive to somebody that has absolutely no skin in the game, basically, with the Secretary of State office, to hang up on me because I asked if this was a scam. Basically, I think that's what it was.
I agree.
And now it finally got back after they tried to charge me $250 more than what.
Oh, mine was at 180.
Okay.
Oh, thank God.
There are also people that try to scam folks and send them, your registered agent has changed, pay and you didn't do this, pay $1,100 and blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. Paper.
How would you get rid of those scam artists that are infiltrating the Secretary of State office? Basically, that's what they're doing.
Absolutely. You and I know when we don't pay our fees for the corporations, all of a sudden you're getting people from Carson City saying, pay us. Mm-hmm. That's what you're saying.
That's what I got.
Right, you got that. So these are all attached. They are earmarked. Mm-hmm. Hate to say this, but politically earmarked to cause friction and to either, to me, it's kind of to bully you this way, or or if you don't want to do your due diligence and realize that they aren't real people. I mean, they really can't. They just want to take what you might call your seasoned corporation. Right. We have to get to that point where there's got to be oversight. That's what I'm saying, Steve. There isn't any oversight on what we have to do to make sure this is right.
Oversight by whom? By the Secretary of State?
We'd have to figure.
Or should they create
it should be somebody else.
Should they create a different entity like an inspector general that goes around and checks state agencies, make sure they're doing their job?
I believe
including the Attorney General's office.
I agree. Well, the Attorney General doesn't really do that much either. I've dealt with him before. I'm
just saying there should be an inspector general. You think?
Outside, yes, independent. Yeah. Okay. It has to be, because we can't. We're if we're doing something wrong, we work for the public. Okay. I've worked for the public before, and I know that we have to try to do what it takes, whatever it takes, and that's where I'm at.
Okay. Jim, you have anything?
No, other than I just want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you both.
And Secretary of State there's a lot involved in that position. And I just want to thank you for coming on, because just in general, like Steve and I don't write down these questions. We don't prepare them ahead of time. I mean, like,
nothing's written down.
Yeah,
just your name.
Yes.
Like literally. So you never know. Like, there's really no way to prepare for the interview.
You're right. Yeah.
So sometimes it can be very stressful. But I just want to thank you for coming in, and then I also want to thank you just for being willing to run.
Thank you, and I'm going to do my best. And I still have a lot to learn, Steve. I know that, but that's where I'm at. I mean, it's something that I feel in my heart, and God was talking to me. I'm tired of seeing young people.
What did he say?
He said, you have to do something. You have to do something. Don't just sit there and let them, compress take the truth out of who he is. Okay. We're all going through difficult times. And we can't fake. There's no faking in this world right now.
You know what I say to people that ask for pre-questions, especially candidates, what the question's going to be, so they could. I said, this is not Screen Actors Guild. Okay, we're not in Hollywood here. You don't have a script. If you're running for a position, you should know what you're running for, or don't run for it if you don't know.
I understand what you're saying, and I respect everything that where you're coming from. But I want you to understand, this is something very serious for all of us. And it's been layered into fraud and inside criminal actions in the courts. Though there are more criminals in courts than I've been in front of this. situation for a long time.
Unfortunately, most of them are behind the bench, but
Well, that's the problem.
that's another show.
Yeah, they don't read, and they don't read. They don't even read. And we pay. And when you tell them, hey, did you read it? They don't read, and they're getting paid.
Miss Keenan, did you? I was going to get there.
Sorry.
Miss Keenan, did you get everything you wanted to get out? Anything else you wanted to?
I know. I'm just grateful, Steve, to you and Jim and to Mark for allowing me the opportunity. I'm new in this as far as just starting out. This is the first interview I've done, and I'm going to try to get better at it. And that's the way I follow the way life is. There's so much to learn, and we're dealing with all kinds of personalities, people, but we do have a common denominator, all of us. And that's called balance. And we better balance it out. It doesn't matter what party, because nobody's having fun. So we better start thinking about and doing something to get along and to make just make things truthful and make deals with people that have accountability and not have to deal with, just the twistedness that we've been dealing with in not being honest about what's going on. That's all, but I thank you.
Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Could you look into the camera, and Mark is going to zoom in on you, and could you tell the folks out there why they should vote for you come, was it April? June.
November.
June 2022 in the primary.
What was the question?
Look in the camera and tell folks why they should vote for you and your point of contact.
Yes. My name is Socorro Keenan. I'm running for Secretary of State. My name Socorro means help. So SOS, just remember that. And we're going to come through this together. And if you have any concerns that you want to talk to me about, you can reach me at 702-630-8029, or you can send me an email at AQUIENTER, at AOL.com. I'm an oldie but goodie, but I would love to hear and get groups together so we can talk about what it is that's bothering you and how we can work it together. So when I go through all of Nevada, I will remember you, God willing, if I make make it to the Secretary of State. Thank you.
Ms. Keenan, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on the program. Folks, that's Socorro Keenan. She's a candidate for Nevada's Secretary of State. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas. Until next time.